Hello and welcome to Kent District Library Streaming Programs. I am Miss Courtnei. I am from the Gaines Township branch of KDL. And thank you for tuning in today's Ask the Expert. This is a series that we are going to be doing every other month, where I am going to bring in a local STEAM expert to talk to us about what they do at their job, how they got into their job, and all sorts of things. So I have Rhiannon Mulligan from the zoo, but before we get started talking to Rhiannon, I'm gonna tell you about some other KDL programs that we're doing, like our teen book talks. So here's a slide to show you a little bit more about what our teen book talks are and when they're happening. All right, so just to let you know that all of our programs are being streamed to our Facebook page as well as our YouTube page. So if you missed a program, you can check out our Facebook or YouTube page to watch it later. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce my first interview person. So this is Rhiannon Mulligan. You will see her in a moment. She also has a friend that she brought with her that we will see as well. But Rhiannon is John Ball Zoo's Education Program Manager. She started as a volunteer in 2005. And then the next summer, she started working for their summer program and became full-time at the zoo in 2012. So she's been at the zoo for 8 years now. So she is a complete expert. She also has her zoology degree from Michigan State University. And we're going to get started. I'm going to ask her some questions. If you have any questions for Rhiannon as we go through this interview, it's going to last about 30-ish minutes because my library does close at 5 o'clock today. So if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. They will come up and I will try and ask Rhiannon those questions after I get through a few of my own. So without further ado, there is Rhiannon. Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing really well.
All right, so Rhiannon, when we start, how about you just tell us a little bit about yourself? So tell us what maybe your favorite book is about animals, anything interesting about you before we dive into your job.
All right. Favorite book about animals is a tough one. Because I love all books. I am a sucker for children's books. So
Same.
I love any and all Jan Brett books. My current favorite is maybe MustSee, about a
Oh, that's a cute one.
So I'm going to go with that one today. But I grew up actually in Southwest Michigan, down in Dowagiac, and I, from a very young age, loved animals. So I actually spent a ton of time at my local nature center and did lots of classes with them, and fell in love with that, and then knew that I always wanted to work with animals. I went to Michigan State to get a zoology degree, with a concentration actually in marine biology, which sounds a little crazy since Michigan State's in the middle of the state and not near any marine water.
True.
But loved it anyway, and actually started my first job. I actually worked on a tall ship out in Long Island Sound. So I was near the water, on the water, but ended up more in the education realm. And I quickly learned that I loved animals, but I loved teaching kids about animals even more. So ended up back in Michigan and started volunteering at John Ball Zoo because it was right down the road from my house. And I've been here ever since.
Awesome. That's so funny that you have an emphasis in marine biology, because when I was a kid, I wanted to be a marine biologist. I am clearly not a marine biologist. I'm a librarian, but can read books and find books about marine biology. So that leads us into a good one. So why did you decide that you wanted to pursue a career working in a zoo instead of being like a veterinarian or working someplace like Critter Barn or a farm? Like, what made you say the zoo, that is the place, or the ocean, that is the place for me?
Um, so it really just kind of happened that my husband and I had moved to Grand Rapids. So we lived right down the road from the zoo. Um, so like I mentioned, we spent a ton of time at a nature center when I was growing up. We didn't really visit zoos all that often. So my first experience with the zoo is actually as a volunteer. And I just quickly fell in love with the conservation messaging that's important to the
Mm,
zoo.
mhm,
So I learned that, they don't just house animals just to house them. Um, we actually work really hard on helping to conserve them out in the wild.
mhm.
So that really, I liked that part of it. But I also really loved the education part of it.
Right.
So our summer camp programs are my favorite. Um, as you mentioned, I've been here a long time. So I'm actually to the point where campers that I had when they were 4 and 5 are now moving through our teen volunteer program. And
Oh.
I've actually just in the last few years actually been able to hire past
Oh.
campers for our
Mhm.
seasonal positions. So it's been really exciting to also just watch kids grow up in our zoo family.
Oh, that's so cool. So I guess speaking of the summer camp, is that something, if you are a young kid who is hopefully watching this right now, again, if you just joined us, if you have any questions for me to ask Rhiannon from John Ball Zoo, leave them in the comments and I will see them. Um, Is doing something like that at, like, a zoo or Blandford, is that something you would kind of recommend to kids if they love animals, but maybe they don't have pets or they don't have a lot of experience with animals?
Yeah, absolutely. So we offer a variety of classes. I know Blandford Nature Center does as well.
Mhm,
Um, And we sort of stage ours so that we kind of introduce you to animals when you're really young.
mhm,
And then as you kind of move through middle school and even like the older, like seventh through ninth grade classes, we really start to dive into all of the different career options.
mhm.
So you do a lot more behind the scenes. Um, we've actually even got like programs this fall that are highlighting the vet classes and keeper classes. So I've had plenty of kids come through and I want to be a keeper. And then they spend a day cleaning up off of the animal.
Right,
And
that
then
could
you
change
start
your mind.
to, yeah, it can change your mind. So the earlier you can experience that,
Mhm,
the better because you might figure out, well, maybe I like to draw animals, or so maybe marketing might be a better route. So we've got a variety of careers at the zoo. Um,
mhm.
Courtney got to see our finance manager
Did
here earlier.
I thought he was waving at me, he was not, he was waving to an animal friend, it's fine. My feelings weren't hurt that much, but,
Yeah.
you know.
So, and then even just volunteer options. So as you get older, we've got teen volunteers, and then we also have adult volunteers. And many of our full-time staff actually started out as volunteers or seasonal workers, and seasonal workers doing a variety of jobs. So, you may want to be a zookeeper, but a lot of our zookeepers actually have worked maintenance jobs, food and beverage. So any kind of way to get your foot in the door if you're interested will not only help you learn more about the zoo to make sure it's a place you want to work, but also lets us get an opportunity to work with you as well.
Yeah, and that's great. Can you talk a little more about the conservation aspect? I don't think a lot of people know that about zoos. I think we all just kind of assume that they are there to entertain us, which they are to a little extent, but what type of conservation things does the zoo do?
Yeah, so we are involved in lots of different projects, um, anywhere from, so the money that you spend to buy your ticket, a portion of that actually goes directly to conservation, and that might be us supporting programs out in the wild. So
Okay.
we've done large donations to protect lions in Africa, to actually provide and support rehab facilities for chimpanzees. We work with the Red Panda Network over in China. We help support the Tiger Conservation Fund, that works with rangers that help protect tigers out in the wild. And then even local projects. So we really love our local projects. We actually are currently head starting box turtles for Pierce and Cedar Creek. So we actually take the hatchlings. So when they hatch out in the wild, we can bring them here to the zoo and raise them through the winter and then release them the following summer. And they actually get kind of a boost. So they go, because they get to eat all winter and it's nice and toasty.
Don't we all?
Warm. They actually grow to the size of about a 3 or 4-year-old turtle.
Wow.
When we put them back out, they have sort of reached that size where they don't have as many predators that they have to worry about. They're able to protect themselves more. And we continue to track them so that we can compare them to their wild counterparts to see if it's working, and what kind of barriers there might be. So we actually track them with radio telemetry and check up on them throughout the summer. So
that's cool.
Year. So that's one of the local problems. Yeah. And then we also work really closely with some other endangered species. So the eastern Massasauga rattlesnake that's here in Michigan is actually one of the last healthy populations of them. So we're doing a lot of studies to figure out why that is and what we can do to help populations in places like Ohio and other states.
I see. As soon as you said snakes, I was like, ooh, and that's why I don't work at a zoo and I work at a library. I hope I never find a snake in the library.
Snakes are one of my favorites. I was very nervous to handle snakes when I first started. In fact, when they were training me, I would break out in a full body sweat.
Sounds right. That sounds like something I would do.
And now I've gotten so used to them, and they're the calmest animal that we handle. So everyone gets really excited when I bring out a soft, cuddly chinchilla. And they are probably the most likely to bite me. And the snake is just perfectly happy to hang out in my hands. And yeah, I love them now.
That's funny. I was just talking with my coworker about we have to do something unique about our library for another task. And I was like, what if we got a pet? And I was like, a turtle. No, a chinchilla. And she was like, are those long? I'm like, no, they're those cute little balls of fluff. She was okay with it. I don't think my manager would if you're watching this, manager, director, chinchillas in the library. I'm just throwing it out there. But speaking of animal friends, who are some of your favorite animal friends, and who are some animal friends that if my library friends, my human library friends, come to the zoo, that they should definitely make sure they see?
So I'll start with my favorite. I'm not biased at all, but really I am. So my favorite is the Eastern Mountain Bongo. I will confess, I had never heard of a bongo other than the drum.
What is a bongo?
So it is a type of antelope that's found in Africa. The best description is it has stripes, but they're more cream colored and not as many as a zebra. And then their other color is sort of a brown kind of chestnut color. And then they have these awesome horns that stick up out of their head that they use to kind of work through, like move through the forest.
Okay, nice.
They look kind of like they have a nose kind of like a cow. So I've kind of figured out that there's a nose thing going on with my favorite animal.
That's fair.
So I guess I have I love animal noses. But they've got a really big kind of slimy nose that feels like a bumpy basketball.
Interesting. That's an interesting texture for a nose.
Yeah, but they're one of our most critically endangered animals that we have here at the zoo. And we've got a breeding program, so we've been lucky enough to get a few calves over the last few years.
Okay.
And prior to building our lion habitat, we actually, one of our bongos was sent over to Africa to be released out into a preserve to boost
Oh,
population.
wow.
So kind of exciting.
Nice. That is exciting. All right. Who are the other must-see animals that maybe people don't remember? Like we know that there's the cool red pandas who are my favorites.
Mhm.
But what are some that people might
Not think
miss?
about.
Yeah.
So if you were talking to our conservation manager, he would tell everyone that their favorite animal is actually the Sicilians, which is a really cool amphibian that you can find in our Frogs and Friends building. But it's an
Okay.
underwater amphibian. It looks kind of like a giant worm, but it's an amphibian. It doesn't have any legs. Uh, and instead of
Hmm.
legs, yes, instead of laying eggs, they actually give live birth. So we've had some babies. You can
Oh.
actually see the babies kind of wriggling around inside the mom before she gives birth. Um, and then it just looks really cool to have all the babies in the tank. So maybe check out the Sicilian.
Uh,
And we also just had
so make sure you hit the Frog and Friends.
yeah, and then in our treasures building, we just had baby armadillos. So
Oh, cute.
they're kind of cruising around and digging up all the dirt in their habitat right now too. So they're a lot of fun.
Nice. All right. So, and we don't have any questions. So maybe kids are busy getting that after school snack.
That
'Cause
sounds
I
good.
understand that after school hunger. But again, if you have a question, make sure you leave it in the comments. But my question, and before you show us your animal friend,
Yeah.
is which animal in the zoo poops the most? So we talked about being a zookeeper and you got to clean up the cages and things like that. So which animal do the zookeepers like? That's their least favorite cage to clean.
Ooh. So the bears definitely poop maybe the biggest poop.
That makes sense. I
So
understand. That makes sense.
you can usually see it in their habitat. It's just the giant piles of it actually looks really orange just because of all the carrots and sweet potatoes they eat. So it's
Ah.
also kind of a fun color. Um, but then the penguins actually poop every 20 minutes, and
Oh
we have
my gosh.
26 penguins.
No,
So
okay, that makes a lot of sense because I feel like whenever I've gone into penguin habitats at any zoo, it always smells the worst. And I've always wondered that. I'm like, it can't be the water, but it
no.
probably is the water from all the pooping. That's good to know. A
Yeah.
penguin would
So
not do well working in customer service because you cannot go to the bathroom every 20 minutes. So
yeah. Yep.
that's good to know. So, Rhiannon, what animal friend is lingering in this cage next to you? I know
So
that
I
they're
have
excited.
another bird friend that also goes to the bathroom quite often. So we'll see if he's gonna make a mess of me. No,
Let's
you
hope
know,
not.
it'll be easier for you to see him. But this is Simon, and Simon is our
He's dancing.
he is our redheaded duck. I know he would love to just get down and fly all over the place, but then he would be flying and pooping all over my office,
Ooh, that
and
would not be good.
no one might appreciate that in the morning when they come back in.
I
So
did not know there was a red-headed duck. Look, another favorite. I was telling Rhiannon before that the red panda because they are just myself, but now I get to have a new favorite duck too.
yeah. So these guys are actually native to Michigan. We'll see if he wants to. He calms down and stands up a little bit. Maybe not. He's gonna go all over the place. All right. Let's see if he'll just stand right there. So Simon is native to Michigan. So we have red-headed ducks in Michigan.
Mm,
I think that we just kind of all miss out on all of the ducks outside of mallards because we're
yeah.
so used to seeing mallards all over the place.
Hmm.
Um, but they are here in Michigan, and then they fly south to Mexico for the winter.
Wow.
And He was actually hatched here. So he was late, like his parents were on exhibit, and he hatched here in 2018. So we were able to actually rear him as a duckling to be what we call our ambassador animals. And those are the animals that can go out for programs. So in a regular summer, we get to visit our libraries and show off all of our animal friends. So Simon's happy to be able to see everybody today.
Yeah, well, we're happy to see him. Yeah, we definitely miss this summer. We always have the zoo and we have Critter Barn and things like that. So it's been a weird year for us all. But luckily for technology, we can see friends virtually. And again, friends, you can watch this again later, show your friends. But Rhiannon, before we end it for this evening, or for this afternoon, evening, who knows? What are the best and worst parts of your job? So you could start with the worst, maybe not worst, but like less desirable parts of your job, and then the best parts of your job.
All right. So maybe the worst would be, as much as I love hanging out with these animals and getting to show people the animals, they do sometimes poop on me. So I've had mornings where the duck just sprays my shorts and I get to go through the rest of the day with on the shorts. We have had ferrets in the past, and ferrets are really cute. They're a great animal to come out, but they smell a lot. So then I smell like ferret the rest of the day. So that might be the worst part.
It's like when you go to Subway. It's like when you go to Subway and you just smell like Subway for the rest of the day, except worse. Yeah. Ooh, that's not fun.
But I would say the best part, honestly, is that every day is different. So the seasons are all different. I even, as I've sort of moved up and into different positions here at the zoo, my job kind of requires me to be at my desk a little bit more. But I love the freedom that we're all sort of encouraged to go out and sort of remember why we're here. So we get to go out and see guests interacting at the exhibits. We can go up and see Yoshi, our baby lynx, as he's exploring his habitat. Camps during the summer, and then we shift to school programs and other things throughout the winter. So I just love that every day is going to be different. And I get to talk with different people each day.
That's so cool. So for our friends that maybe don't know what the zoo is doing right now, before we end, when can they come and visit the zoo?
Yeah, so we're currently open through November, I believe, is the end of our season. And right now our hours are 10 to 4, so you can come anytime. We've got some fun programs going on. So it's Wizarding Weekends this weekend. So if you're a Harry Potter fan, definitely come check it out. And then we also have programs. So if you're maybe doing virtual school and want to kind of get out and explore some science hands-on, we've got a lot of fun programs for kids in the evenings or late afternoons that you can check out as well.
Awesome. We did have a question, and it's from the wonderful Miss Jackie, who is very famous in the KDL world. And she's wondering what happens with zoo education during the months that you're not open to the public. So during those colder months, what do you guys do?
Yeah. So during the colder months, we do a couple of things. So one is actually all of summer camp is planned basically in November and December.
So we're not the library does that too. We plan summer in winter, and it throws me off every year. So I'm glad we're not alone.
You're not alone. And then we also do a lot of outreach programs. So we go out to a lot of schools, which obviously in the time of COVID, we've transitioned to doing a lot of virtual programs now.
Yay!
Virtual programs so kids can still see Simon up close here. And yeah, lots of planning, because once our season starts in March, we're kind of just running on all cylinders.
That's fair. All right. Well, Rhiannon, thank you so much. Oh,
Simon
yes.
just pooped on me.
Oh, well, that's perfect timing because that is all the questions I have for you today. Thank you, Rhiannon, and thank you, Simon, for joining us. And thank you, everyone who tuned in, whether you're tuning in live or you're watching after the fact at home or in a classroom. If you join me in 2 weeks, I will be interviewing Anthony from WMCAT. So he's going to talk to us about some technology careers. I think he does cybersecurity. So we'll find out what that is because I'm not entirely sure. But thanks for joining us, friends, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye, everybody.